Hey guys, welcome back to our channel, Funtime Crafts 24/7. This is a Let's Make a Card video, and this is the card we're going to be making. Isn't that the cutest thing ever? The little pile of duckies. And the greeting says, sending you piles of smiles. Oh, I think it is so fun. Made this rainbowed background there using some bubble wrap and ink cubes. And then popped all these layers up on dimensionals and colored this up with the Spectrum Noir tri-blends and thought this just came out really cute. So I thought we'd give it a go, and I'll show you how to put this together. So first thing you're going to need is you're going to need an A2 size white card base. So this here is 8.5 by 5.5 on the 8.5 side, scored at 4 1/4. And to make your white card base, you're going to need your first layer is going to be 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to be our bubble wrap background there. And then this one here, I actually cut this layer just a hair smaller than this one. This one is technically 3.5 by 4 3/4, and this one, because I wanted to see a little bit more of the bubble wrapped background, I cut this one down to be 3 1/4 by 4.5. So it's just going to be a tiny bit smaller, just so you can see a little bit more of the bubble wrap background. Hopefully we'll like it just as much as we do this one, but we'll give it a whirl. So originally 3.5 by 4 3/4 is what this one is. The new one 3 1/4 by 4.5. So that's what we're gonna layer all these on and do our grass on and stamp our sentiment on. But first off, we're going to so the little stamp set here is an Art Impressions clear stamp set. It's called Duck Stackers, and this is it right here. How darling are those little guys? Yeah, so I've got it loaded up in my so those are the layering pieces. We'll set this over here for reference, and I've got that stamp already loaded up in my Stamparatus. I have a piece of Nina Classic Super Smooth Solar White 80-pound cardstock here. I believe it's 80-pound. And I'm just going to pop this into my Stamparatus here. Stamp it a few times with my Memento black ink. And I think this is alcohol marker ink. I don't know. I noticed there was a little bit of bleeding when after I colored it, but like on the yellow bled, but none of the other ones really did. So I don't know. Oh, I do have my Spectrum. Hold on, let me get the Spectrum Noir one. Oh, here we go. We're actually going to use this one. The Finesse Alcohol Proof Dye Non-Smear with Alcohol Ink in black. We're actually going to ink it up with this and see what this does. So, just going to ink this up. And the fun thing about having it in the Stamparatus is you can do this a couple times to get it as dark as you want it to be. Oh. Whoops. Hang on a sec. Okay. And so, yeah, you can, like, ink this up as many times as you want to get as dark of an impression. So I think I'm going to do it one more. How cute are those little duckies? They're darling. So let's see. Yeah, look how cute. That is adorable. I think we're going to go ahead and call that good. That looks pretty dark. And let's see, wash off our little stamp here. And then we will, I'm going to let that dry just a little bit. You know, so that way there hopefully for sure won't be any smearing there. So while we're waiting on that, we're going to take our small panel here, and we're going to use our My Favorite Things stencil. It's a slimline grassy edge stencil. And I mean, if you're going to buy it for one, you might as well buy it for the slimline since it's going to be the biggest, and use it for everything, you know. So that was pretty much why I did it. Like so. So I think this looks pretty darn cute there. And I just used my Stamps of Life little ink cube. That is green apple. A little blending brush, just tapped it on there. We're just trying to add a little bit of interest to the bottom of the panel. And so, let's see. I'm going to start off the stencil and blend down onto the cardstock there. And I don't think my green apple is all the way green apple on this piece. I think part of it's spearmint. I use this green blending brush for everything, so. And that looks super cute. So we're going to call that good. And let me wash that off. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be like the green. You're just wanting a hint of interest there. That looks pretty good. We'll put this back. Let's see. And then what we want to do is, let's dry that a little. Okay. And then we'll pop that back. And then what we want to do is we want to stamp our little sentiment on there. And I just kind of put it to the left here a little bit. And we're just going to stamp it like right about there. Let's see. I got to see if I can do this. I'm going to do it on here, I think. And then I stamped it in Stamps of Life Black Licorice. But we can do it in Tuxedo Black ink. I do like this for darkness. It's a really good dark ink. Oh, that's better. I probably ought to do it in the Stamparatus. Okay, I'm just going to try to get it as straight as I can. Oh, cute! That is cute. Okay, so there's our little sentiment. And let me clean this off. And then, so next what we can do is we can actually do our background now. And then what you want to do is you want to get a piece of bubble wrap. This is the small bubbles, just out of your packaging. And basically what I did was I just took my sheet of cardstock and I laid it right next to the bubble wrap. And then what I did was I did a rainbow. So I did all Stamps of Life little mini ink cubes. I did strawberry, tangerine, sunshine, green apple, pool, let's see, pixie, and then candy is the order that I went in. And then but I think I could only get to pixie, actually. I think the only one I could do was pixie. The pink wouldn't fit all the way on there. So then all I do is I just dab the ink cube across in as straight as I can across the bubble wrap, and in one line. And so just tapping it onto the bubble wrap, and about as wide, I just kind of eyeball, and that looks like it's about the same width as the panel. And so then you just take and do your next one, tangerine, and I just go right below that, just the width of the ink cube. And then I did sunshine. I try not to get it into just as close to that other ink color, but not into the ink color, because I don't want it to mess up. But I see like I got some there. I don't think that this is going to hurt this at all. And honestly, I can wipe it, kind of just dab it off onto a spare sheet of paper there. That's excess I wasn't going to use anyways. So line this back up. And then the next one was the green apple. Tap it. And then pool. And just try to keep it as straight in the width of the ink cube. And then I think I was able to squeeze a little pixie on there at the very bottom. Okay, and then, oh, yeah, so let's get that off before it turns into something else. And so then all I did was I took and I laid my panel trying to get every color and with as straight as with the colors. So you just lay it down and then you just gently press into the color, the paper onto the bubble wrap. And you'll probably get it on your fingers, but that's okay. And if it's on the back, you're never going to see it. So no problems. Just make sure you get the whole back pressed into the ink. And try not to shift it around. And then pick it straight up without moving it. And then voila! I got a little smudge there, but that's okay. It adds to the texture of it. That is a hoot. How fun is that, right? And so that's our background. And so then, so I could keep using this, all I did was I just washed it off with a baby wipe. And that way I could use it for other projects. And then to make sure, this gets, dry and everything, I just turn it over onto a piece of copy paper as well. And press it onto the copy paper to kind of help dry it and stuff. So you're not having to put it away wet or anything. But how fun is that bubble wrap, right? Like, you can do so much stuff with this. This is really fun on jelly plates, too. Okay, and now we'll just flip this over onto here. And we're done with that. And let's see. And now what we want to do is we want to take and we want to ink up the edges on this mat. And all I did was I took Stamps of Life Black Licorice. I love the foam pads on this because they're squishy, and you can just, all you do is you take the pad and you hold it straight onto the edge. And you can kind of gently push, and it gives you a defined edge in black, and it looks really cool. And then you want to try not to touch the edge of it and let it dry. Dry for, a little bit, Probably let it sit on the table until after you're done coloring your little duckies. Whoops. There. Look how that's looking so good, huh? Look how fun that is. Isn't that a hoot? What an easy background to make. Okay, so we're going to let this dry now. That's our background. And we're going to start on the... Oh, and I did that on this one too. So let's go ahead and do that on this one. And then this one can be drying. Okay. And then, let's see. And now I think we can just start coloring our little duckies here. And so I just used rainbow out of the tri-blends. Oh, whoops. Rainbow out of the tri-blends. So I used dark red blend, orange blend, citrus blend, citrus blend, light green blend, ice blue blend, purple blend, and magenta blend. And what I did was I just used the lightest one to color in the duckie's body, and then I used the darkest one to color in his beak and his feet, and I left their little bellies white, because that's what they are on the picture, and they were really cute with little white bellies. So I just kind of copied that, but I wanted it to be in a bit of a rainbow. Not a bit, I wanted it to be in them to all be in rainbow colors, because that'd be super fun. Rainbows are so happy. They're so happy, and this is sending a pile of smiles, so I thought it goes perfect, making them all little rainbows. And then I cut this out on my Scan and Cut because it doesn't have a die. I didn't see a die for it when I bought it. Doesn't mean that there isn't one now. But it's a piece of cake to just pop in the Scan and Cut real quick and let it cut it out. And then the dark one is going to be his little feet. And his little beak. Isn't he cute? Oh, he's so cute. Okay, and then we'll do orange. So the light one on the whole body. Oh, there's John. Hold on. Okay, so I gotta go, and so I gotta go take care of some stuff really quick. So I'm actually gonna finish coloring this off camera, and then I'll be right back, or I'll be back as soon as I'm done. Okay, so there we are. All the little duckies are colored up, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this little guy out on our Scan and Cut. So what I want to do is I should have put those back. I want to take and washi tape my little image down. Let's see, I'm using my SDX Brothers Scan and Cut Low Tech map, the little turquoisey blue one, and I'm just going to tape it basically to the middle of the mat. Yeah, tape it down really good so it can't shift while it's cutting. So all the corners, and then on the long middle sides, I'm going to tape it in the middle on the long sides. And then we'll cut this little guy out. And you don't have to do anything special on this. You basically just grab around the whole image. Well, here, let's do it. Let's see. Oh, power. I forgot to turn it on. Whoops. Whoopsie. Maybe. Oh, cool. This is saying that it wants to move the carriage to the initial first position. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to load my mat. So I got it pressed up to the rollers gently in between the two guides. There's one on each side. I know you can't see the left one. And then you come up here and you push your load mat button. And then for this process, all you're going to do is say scan. And because all we want to do is cut the image out, we're going to hit direct cut. I'm going to save the information to the machine. It's converting it to a cut file, and it just is asking where you want to save it. And the machine is the easiest for me. It wants to know if I want to scan it in black and white, and I am, because I did the other one that way and it worked fine. So I'm going to say start. It's recognizing it. All right. And it looks like it got it all. So I'm going to say okay. Then I'm going to zoom in, put my cutting guide on what I want it to actually cut out. And I'm going to say preview. It looks like it's trying to cut out these little duckies down here all individually. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say ignore object size. No, actually I'm not. I'm going to say okay. But I'm actually going to say okay. I'm going to see if I put a border around it, will it just make it all one continuous image? And it won't. So what I want to do is I'm going to say go back. And I'm going to say direct cut, save the information to the machine, but I'm going to say do it in color to see if it'll scan it in. We can get a better image. Because it's trying to cut out one of the beaks individually, and I don't want it to do that, even when I put the border around it. Sometimes if you say okay and it looks like it's cutting out a couple pieces and then you put a border around it, it will recognize it all as one image then. But it didn't do that in this case. So we're going to say frame. It's saying frame what you want to cut, frame the image. So just using my little pen to do that. You can use your fingers too. You don't have to use the pen. I'm going to say okay. See if that worked. Oh, it didn't get the blue one. Let's see if it'll pick the blue one up. Ah, I picked up the blue one. There we go. So all I did was on the, I'm going to say okay. Right here, there's a color bar, and I clicked that, and then I darkened it. So it's up to 7 now. And then I hit okay, and then it recognized it again, and it picked up my little blue one. So I'm going to say okay. And then I'm still going to put my border around it because it looks like it's trying to do there. Okay. Now you can see the black line continuously goes outside of all the little duckies, and that's what I want it to do. So I set it to a 0.4 outline distance. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to hit okay because I'm done editing. Now it's processing it. Now it wants to know what I want to do with this, and I'm going to tell it to, I said please select and then cut. And now I'm going to say start. I've already done this so I know my my mat is good. and my half cut is off. So it's gonna cut this little fella out. And it says about 1 minute, and about 1 minute right there. It's testing the material. Yeah, this is nice for stuff like this that you don't have dies for and you want to cut it out, especially like flowers and things like that you want to layer. It works really cool. Or if you just have a lot of images, even if you have dies, it's nice. Alright, it looks like it did it pretty good. So I'm going to say, it says finish cutting, I'm going to say okay. And then I'm going to unload the mat. It's just saying that if we unload it and we want to do something else to it, it might shift and not be on the same spot. And I'm going to say that's fine. So let's come over here and let's see how we did. There's our little duckies. There we go. They came out just great. Look at them all. And so now these little guys are going to layer right here. Oh, and they fit. They fit. I wondered how that was going to be. That's actually so cute. Okay, cool beans. Oh, that is swell. Okay, cool. All right, so let's reposition this here. Get the rest of our pieces. And let's see. So we got our background. We got our card base. And what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and pop the background up on dimensionals. Let's see. And I have some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. These are about my favorite. I just tried out another kind from a different company, and yeah. The backers don't like. What I don't like is it's hard to get them off their sheets, and then it's hard to get the little backers off. So you're sitting there fiddling with them for 5 minutes just to try to, and you're like, oh my goodness, I wanted this to be a quick thing. It wasn't so quick. So these Stampin' Up! Ones, gosh, see how easy it is to peel the backers off? They got that down to a science. Okay, so now make sure your card's in the right way. We're doing portrait style. Let's see, I got my red at the top and my purple at the bottom, so it matches my rainbow. I'm going to try to center this up as evenly as possible. I think that looks pretty good there. And you can see our black edging to define it. That looks really good. So I'm also going to pop this up on dimensionals. And try to center this as much as possible. Oh yeah, see, you can see way more of the border now. That looks so much cuter. That looks really cute. Hopefully that's straight. It's hard to see around the camera. Sometimes I try to look through the camera, and then you're like really crooked when you go to actually put it down. It's funny. Okay, so, and then I want to pop up my little duckies. Isn't this little stack of duckies so darn cute? It definitely will send you a pile of smiles. Oh. Yeah, these little fellows are so cute. And they were really simple to color. Oh my goodness, it didn't take me 2 minutes when I came back. Okay, so I think that looks pretty cute there. And I'm trying to keep them straight. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now the other thing I have are these Stamps of Life heart enamel. These little enamel hearts. And I'm going to add a couple of those to it. And then these are going to be done. So I'm going to do a little orange one. Let's see. A little blue one. And then a little pink one. Oh my gosh. And how darling is that? Isn't that the cutest thing? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, let me know what you guys think of the little project down in the comments below. And what do you think, the bigger border or the smaller one? Well, they're both quite darling. I mean, they'll make anybody smile, but anyhow, hope you guys are having a hope you had a fantastic weekend and hope you have a terrific week. Thanks for hanging out and happy crafting, guys. Bye-bye.